Hey everybody, this is Perch. Every now and then, quite a few times down here in Texas, and this isn't Texas bashing, but the drivers here are nuts. And when I say nuts, I don't mean they drive really fast. Some do. I don't mean that they don't come to a full stop at a stop sign or anything stupid like that. I'm saying they actually will make bizarre decisions and just drive in ditches on the other side of the road, all kinds of stuff. Like there is zero logic sometimes to how people are driving around in old Texas, and it's baffling. Like I went today, and every now and then, by the way, so much of this happens that I start to get really edgy about needing to get home and just hide the car in the garage because some dumb asshole is going to just destroy it, um, because nobody knows what they're doing. Like literally, so I'm driving back from the airport, and a guy, first I see in the parking garage at the airport, somebody just is like driving, down the road in the parking lot, and this car just decides I'm going to back up and just backs up right into the car driving by. And it was kind of one of those, well, the person backing up was at fault, but the other person was also at fault because they saw the person, backing up and were like, fuck no, this is my lane today. And I love that behavior. That's very Texas behavior, by the way. I get to drive where I want. And that sounds, very manly and tough and everything until you realize you're going to smash up your car, and then you're dealing with insurance and a body shop. I get stand your ground, but my God, like at what cost? I mean, at some point, slowing down a little bit in the parking lot and just letting the guy go is going to be more important than preserving your, driving manhood, because you're just giving yourself a shitload of work. That's the problem with it. You're handing yourself, having to go get having to go get a car fix and all that. Like, who's got the time for that? I just wonder at times, are like these people just kind of weird shut-ins, and they're just like, hey, I got nothing going on in my life this week. Let's go ahead and total my car so I can, hang out at the auto shop. Like, why would you want that? Anyway, I mean, you're never going to see this person, by the way, backing up again at the airport. So it just doesn't make any sense. But I saw that, and then I saw another guy on the freeway just lazily rear end somebody on the freeway. Like they're just driving, the guys in front of them stop because of traffic, and this guy just like slowly just plows into the back of them. And then people. Hey, it's just been a day of it, so now I'm terrified to get back. But anyway, I'm complaining about traffic. Meanwhile, while I record my podcast, but for what it's worth, as you know, I mean, clearly, because a lot of them are recorded here, I drive around a lot. And how many accidents has old Perch been in? Zero. How many times he had to take his nice trusty car here to the auto shop? Zero. So, I mean, doing something right. But anyway, a little bit of viewer mail here. So we're gonna go through this viewer mail. I'm stopped at the moment. Okay. Hello, Perch. I've got two questions for you, both about unusual genres of comics. Well, one's a question, one's more of a statement. First, the question is, why aren't there more Westerns? You would think that, particularly in a world where superhero comics and Westerns are somewhat similar in the fact that you have a hero defeating bad guys, you would think there would be more Western comics. Why aren't there? Westerns aren't that popular is the first reason. And the second is that a lot of artists do not like to draw horses or cowboy hats. And while I'm kind of joking, I'm kind of not. I've talked to a lot of artists. They hate. I used to, for a while, I was on this idea that like you really should do a really highly quality produced Indiana Jones kind of running around kind of comic. And but almost the response from every creator I ever talked to was always like, I'm not drawing any hats. I'm not drawing horses. Like I don't know. Is that for artist friends of the channel? What's going on there? Anyway, back to the mail. Here is my question/statement. I think one of the problems with a lot of modern comics is that they are purposefully trying to be adult in order to justify their existence. Several artists get very frustrated when you say you work on funny books or kid books. It's almost like they have to intentionally do their version of Watchmen in order to prove that they are a big boy or girl. Take a look at the recent Venom series by Al Ewing and Ram V. That comic is misery to read. Even though it's symbiotes, which should be wacky fun, it just has all of the life and adventure and pleasure of getting your teeth cleaned. Everybody is very serious. Even Cletus Carnage, who is supposed to be a fun, wacky character, serial killer, but sure, fun and wacky. I've never heard Carnage described as fun and wacky. Okay. Even Carnage now has this new grim, dark backstory. He's a serial killer who likes killing people. What else do you need to know? Look at a lot of comics today, and they're just not fun. It wouldn't hurt to have a fairly straightforward superhero adventure where strange things are happening to the superheroes and they have to beat the bad guy. Take if you will, a series from your favorite run where the X-Men were in Australia. The X-Men have to go to Genosha. Immediately, they get tied up in mutant slavery and other shenanigans. But do you notice it's still a fun comic? At no point is it going really dark or really into depth about the fact that these characters are brainwashed slaves. Instead, it's kept fairly light, and the X-Men are allowed to have some fun. Okay, your descriptions of things are a little off, in my opinion, but I do get your point. Okay, I get your point. I think comics would do a lot better if they learned not to take themselves quite so seriously and just tried to entertain as opposed to prove to other people that they are a, quote, serious writer. What do you think? Okay. Well, I think you're a little weird. Sure, old happy-go-lucky, wacky Cletus Cassidy. Anyway, I look, there's actually, I think there's a really good point that you're making here, because if you look at comics from that era of the Claremont, the Mutant Massacre, Fall of the Mutants, the Australia stuff, a lot of terrible shit happens to our heroes during that run, like really, really dark stuff. In the Mutant Massacre, a whole civilization of mutants who are living in like a little community of mutants are just brutally murdered, and the people doing the murdering are having fun doing it. They are delighting in just rivers of blood. The Fall of Mutants is really the X-Men sacrificing themselves. That it is a story of them going to their death. You have the stuff in Australia. Genosha was actually a pretty horrible place. I mean, the characters were brainwashed, sexless. I mean, they were put in suit. These the costumes they were put in. You couldn't get naked in there. Your head was shaved. Basically you were brainwashed here, and you were a slave. And their civilization was built on this. And the X-Men went down there and immediately Wolverine gets his powers taken away, so he's dying from poisoning, and they're like, things seem pretty bad. And they escape that, and then they have the Brood kind of eat and take over a preacher, and they have then the Marauders come into town and just crucify Wolverine up on, there's stuff's going on there. It's pretty dark. But at the same time, the writing was kept lighter and quicker. I guess what I would mean, the way I would interpret that is by saying that, you didn't have, Wolverine, you didn't have layer after layer after layer of Wolverine questioning himself. He would say am I doing the right thing? But he's saying this in a thought bubble as he's springing into action to carve some people up. You didn't have a full issue devoted to, it's okay. So for example, look at The Punisher by Jason Aaron, the one that deconstructs him when we see his past and he can't sleep with his wife and he's not a good father, and he's just this horrible guy, and then in real life his wife who's been resurrected is realizing all this and just cold, and he's a hateful person. It's just kind of tearing at him everything else. And it's written like it's very serious. It's written like it's a comic that is, we are going for an award with this book. It's like a movie that's going for an Academy Award. That's how it feels. It feels like the writer is being very, very serious with what they're doing. But you would be wrong if you said that the Punisher series, definitely some of this stuff, the Garth Ennis, him punching a bear and the woman with no legs and all that stuff, there's definitely wacky shit there. But like Punisher Return to Big Nothing was not a happy-go-lucky, lighthearted book. The Punisher was doing serious stuff, and there were bad guys out there, and they were like, things were morally gray a little bit, and Punisher's like just, mowing through town. So I mean, it's not like those stories were cartoons you would let your kids read. I would feel a little weird if my 10-year-old is reading The Mutant Massacre in the X-Men. I mean, I did when I was 10, but from that generation, man, we were warped. But anyway, you would feel weird about that. And yet the story still felt like a superhero kind of light story. It still felt like there was an adventure to be had. You didn't feel like you were getting, the shit kicked out of you as a reader reading it. It still, it took itself, it had serious situations, but it didn't take itself seriously. If that makes sense. Or too seriously. The comics today, look, you're right on with that Venom series. I know some people who like it, but I read that thing and it's like, I'm a bad father. My child's over here. And Ewing is doing some cosmic stuff in there, and you're trying to pull it together, but goddamn, like it's just the whole book just feels like a drag. And I'm not, but people always go the other. Well, what do you want? Do you want Venom to be? I guess he's just got to fight Deadpool over and over again, and we'll get Rob Liefeld to draw it. I guess that's what you want. No, I'm saying you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have serious stories again. The X-Men dealing with a mutant slave nation and the implications of all that and the kind of morality of it and everything that was done there was a heavy topic. It was just told without kind of being embarrassed of what it was. That when you're reading that Punisher series, you just get the feeling like Marvel and the writer are kind of embarrassed that they're writing the Punisher. And so they're intentionally kind of writing it in such a way like, this guy's a real piece of shit. Let me explain to you how in this 50-point TED Talk presentation. You're like, or a lot of people just got it. It's like, hey, here's a guy, family killed. He wants to, he's driven by rage. Basically it's a Charles Bronson movie that they ripped off. Anyway, that's what's going on here. Nobody is looking at that, and not nobody, but people aren't looking at that going, well, the Punisher is clearly the real hero, not Spider-Man. Nobody is doing that. But people are going, yeah, I get what would drive a man to go and, dedicate his life against crime. And then you have thoughts like, man, at some point when the Punisher's like beating up a bunch of bad guys, or rather killing a bunch of bad guys, and he's just shooting guns everywhere, he accidentally kills a civilian. Like, what if that ever happened? The Punisher would break. Like, that would be the way to fracture the Punisher is he kids like his family get caught in it. I mean, like, this is the risk this guy is playing with every time he runs in there with a bunch of guns. And that's kind of the story people want to hear. They don't want to have actually he was always he was like an incel because he couldn't even do his wife properly. He just loved the violence, the blood so much. And he was just a sick guy, like tortured rats. And he's like, no, thank you. And by the way, you don't really want that for the villains either. It's like, you don't need drudgery. You want it to be fun. And it's weird calling, Genosha fun or, the Punisher's early adventures fun, but they were fun compared to this. I don't know. Or maybe I'm crazy. What do you think? Does it make any sense? You with me? Not? I don't know. Everybody's got their own opinion. Let me know. Thanks for listening.